All right, good afternoon, everyone. It is 2 o'clock officially, so we are going to get started. I'm just laughing a little bit at the chat. I'm glad to hear that everyone's enjoying the music. It definitely makes it a little bit more fun. It also gets some of you in here a little bit earlier because you don't want to miss the music. So that's been nice. And I will obviously continue doing that because I like it just as much, if not more than you. So if you have any music requests for the future, please let me know. I would be happy to revamp this training playlist I'm working on because I've been listening to it now for 2 weeks straight. So I'm ready for some fresh music if you have any suggestions there. All right, so looking at our participant list, all of you are return people, so I don't even have to introduce myself. You know who I am. And we're also going to skip that section about the Zoom features because you've all been in here before, I believe. If I'm wrong about that, though, please let me know, and I'm happy to stop and introduce myself and go over those Zoom features. Um, I'm laughing again at the chat because yes, I got Shelly. She won't be here late ever again because of my music. So that's all it takes, Shelly. Okay, so today's webinar is all about Flipgrid, and we're going to start from the basics of how do you get into Flipgrid, and then what is it, and then obviously we'll look at the different functions and features inside of it. So all about Flipgrid today. Before I start though, I do kind of want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. I have this internal struggle as an ed tech coach right now. My goal before this COVID situation was always to introduce you to new technologies to use with your students. But I hesitate to introduce a lot of new technology now, given that your students are not in your classroom to receive support. So something to kind of keep in mind, I am going to tell you about Flipgrid today, and you need to gauge as a teacher whether you're comfortable enough using it and whether you think you can support your students from this virtual land we're in before you really go about using it. And I've tried not to introduce a whole lot of new tools aside from the Google Suite. For that reason, I am going to start maybe bringing in maybe a new tool each week. But again, I'm not saying go ahead and try all these new tools at once with your students. Keep in mind that they need some time to explore and to learn as well. And also with that said, if you do decide to introduce Flipgrid to your students, awesome. But I would start with something that is very low key, low pressure, low stress. So something along the lines of introduce yourself or tell me your favorite fill in the blank here, rather than a full-blown content loaded activity. That way they get a chance to kind of explore it in that low pressure environment, low stakes, and not a whole lot of risk involved. So kind of something to keep in mind as we get moving here. And yes, I'm interested to see, I'm looking at the chat again. Sylvia made a comment about kind of getting a jump start into thinking about what you're going to use next year. I am interested to see kind of how things shake out next year. Now that you've been completely immersed in this ed tech world, I'll be interested to see how things start off when we do go back to school. If you haven't already heard the news, we are officially closed through the end of the school year. Governor Abbott made that announcement today. So I think we all saw that coming, but it is now official. So I will not be seeing your faces until next school year. Maybe this summer if you come to summer training and we're able to hold them, but otherwise this is my only interaction with you. All right, so with all of that said, I just talked a lot. Let's go ahead and get started. Again, I'm going to skip our Zoom features. They are in here, but I'll skip them. Okay, so our agenda today, we're going to start off with what is Flipgrid and why should I use it? And then we're going to talk about two different kind of functions, major functions within Flipgrid. The first one's called Flipgrid Shorts, and that is a video recorder so that you can create instructional videos. If you were in my instructional video webinar, I think that was yesterday, all the days blend together now. We did kind of mention Flipgrid. We didn't go in depth knowing that we had our big webinar today, but we're going to kind of look at those tools more in depth today. And then the other part of Flipgrid is that more interactive piece where you are able to create what are called grids and then topics within those grids, and your students can respond with video to your prompts. So we'll look at that as well. And then we're also, as we're talking today, I just brainstormed some different usages for Flipgrid within the classroom. So some of those lower key things like question of the day, and that's just a way to kind of connect with your students. And it could be content related or it could not. I know I have a friend who's doing question of the day just through Google Classroom. But it's silly things like, I think today's was, do you think cereal should be considered soup? Just to get them talking. Another good use of it would be to have some sort of reading record or even reading responses that students are recording. I actually have a friend who is doing this with her own children, not her students, but she created each of them a Flipgrid grid, and they are recording videos each day of them reading. So I can go in and listen to them reading as an outsider and give them feedback. So that's kind of a cool use right there. In math, you can do a lot with explain your thinking. Music and choir. It's hard right now if you're a music or choir teacher to do anything virtually. So it's a way for you to hear your students and see your students playing an instrument or singing or whatever it might be. Same thing with PE, record a video showing, I don't know, whatever skill you're working on. Maybe it's even as simple as showing me a jumping jack. I don't know, I'm not a PE teacher. Foreign language, you can do all sorts of speaking exercises with that. You could do things like have video pen pals if you have another class, maybe even within your school at this point, because everybody is virtual, but you could have your students have a pen pal outside of your class or even within your class that they're just communicating with via this video platform. And then there's something called flip hunts that we'll get into at the end if we have a chance. So that was a lot of talking, all of that. I'm looking at our chat before we jump in. Cynthia asked a great question. Do you think you'll continue these webinars over the summer? I don't know. I haven't been told what my role is moving forward, even after today, because I'm assuming I'm going to continue the same role where I'm working from home, and therefore I have the flexibility and the ability to offer these webinars. I don't know when I'll get called back into the office and what that will look like for me. So to kind of answer your question in a very wishy-washy way, I'm going to do these webinars as long as I'm able. So you will definitely have webinars next week unless I hear something today that says I can't do them. And then each week we'll just kind of play it week by week, but I plan to keep doing these as long as you want them and as long as I'm able. So in fact, with that said, I'm trying to plan out next week's webinars. If you have things that you really want to learn about that I haven't already covered, or you want something repeated, let me know today, either in our chat or when you fill out that form at the end. I have 2 spots right now that I'm looking to fill. So if I don't hear from you, I'll figure something out. I'll find something to fill them with. But if you have an idea, please let me know. That way I can do what you need. I want to make sure that my webinars are something that you will learn from. So, all right, that's enough. Let's get started. So what is Flipgrid? Flipgrid is a video response web application, and in fact it is all web-based, so that's the cool part about it. It doesn't require any downloading. It is in our My FWSD Apps portal. At least I believe it is. It's in mine, so I'm assuming it's in yours as well, and I'm pretty sure it's in the student end as well. So you should see in your ClassLink portal the Flipgrid icon. Okay, and so if you click on that Flipgrid icon, it should, fingers crossed, log you in. Okay, I'm not sure if you do it for the first time what it's like though. So you're gonna have to tell me what happens when you click on the Flipgrid icon if you've never had an account before. So if you haven't already, go ahead and log into your ClassLink portal and find that Flipgrid icon and click on it. And let me know what you're seeing. Are you able to jump right into my grids like I am, or are you seeing something else? I'm seeing some suggestions for webinars in the chat. Thank you for those of you who are putting those in there. It made you log in. Okay, awesome. If you end up at the login screen, so let me actually log out. So I'm logged out. Hopefully it looked like this, maybe, Cynthia?
Kelly?
Yes.
Hey, it's me, Araceli. I don't have it on mine, so I'm going to go ahead and add it.
Okay,
yes. It's not on my portal.
That's good to know. I'm not sure why I have it and you don't. It seems like you would need it more than me, but if you don't have it, you can add it. Or if you aren't comfortable with adding it right now, you can just navigate to Flipgrid just by going to flipgrid.com. So if you can't find it in your portal, just go to flipgrid.com or add it to your portal if you feel comfortable doing that. Okay, and then hopefully it'll bring you to your educator login screen. kind of crossing my fingers on that one. And then I like to always log in with Google. It syncs nicely to your Google Classrooms that way. So anytime I get that opportunity, I choose Google login, okay? And then it will prompt you to choose your at teachers.fwisd.org account. All right, again, because I already have an account, I'm not sure if it's going to ask you more questions. It might ask you like what you teach, things like that. So if it asks you those kinds of questions, go ahead and answer them. But you will eventually end up where I am at my grids. Okay. Do I need to pause to let you guys catch up? I'm pausing anyways, whether you want it or not. Okay. While people are catching up, Shelly, I want to respond to you. You had given an idea for a session next week. So I can certainly talk about transferring grades from different programs into Focus, but the two programs that you listed there, Shelly, and in fact, a lot of the different websites and applications that some of you are used to using are currently under review. We've had a lot of questions about data privacy within our district. And so we now are only going to allow teachers to use programs that we have a data privacy agreement with. And I believe that both of those right now we do not yet have data privacy agreements with. So I can't specifically train on Edpuzzle or quizzes when it comes to like actually having classes in there. So I can talk more vaguely about adding grades, but I can't actually start kind of diving into those two tools right now. I have to be a little bit more careful because these are all recorded, keep in mind. So I can't talk about those different programs that we're not supposed to use. All right. Okay. Yes, Joanna, we're going to jump in just a second. So if you landed at this screen with my grids, hopefully that gave you enough time to get here. We're actually going to skip my grids for now. So no, in response to you, Joanna, we're going to come back to this because I want to talk about shorts first. So when you get logged into your Flipgrid, along the top, you have all sorts of different pages that you can click on. And I'm going to go to the last one that says shorts. Okay. And I think this is a play on like Disney shorts. That idea of a short video that you can record to make a point or to show some information. So this allows you to just make your own instructional videos for your students. So it's one quick place to do it. It's really simple to start. All you're going to do is click on record a short. Okay, and it's going to pop up this, oh, I didn't think about this. This is going to happen. So I have to turn off at least my video. I wonder what happens when I leave my mic. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, I'm able to do it if my video is off. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see my face in Zoom, but luckily you'll see it on my Flipgrid. So that'll work. But now I am recording my first short. Okay, and this is what the video recording interface looks like. It's pretty simplistic. They have added a lot of really awesome features though. So again, this is just to record an instructional video of some sort to show your students, or it could be for anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be for your students. Okay, so it's using my webcam to do it. And all I do to start recording is click on this little button. Okay, it's gonna count down. All right, so it's now recording obviously my face. And so I could have just a conversation in my video where I'm talking. But typically we need a little bit more than that when we're making our videos for our students. So there's some other features that they've added. I want to start first with this feature that looks like the whiteboard here. So I do have the ability to pull up a whiteboard, okay? And then I can change my color of my drawing tool to whatever I want. And now I could draw on my whiteboard. So whatever it might be. I'm really bad at drawing with my mouse, so bear with me. If you have a touchscreen device, this would probably work best on your touchscreen device, but you could use this just like you would use a whiteboard in your class. And then at the very top, you have that clear button and it will get rid of all your writing so you could start again. So right in there, that's a super awesome feature. I could record myself working through a problem or writing out something on a whiteboard for my students. And I'm still recording right now, but I can remove that whiteboard by going back to that little paint button and clicking on clear boards. And it goes back to my face. So I can kind of toggle between the two. I can talk for a little bit and I can bring up my board. I can also bring up a blackboard if that's more your style. And again, I can write with that. Okay, and again, I can clear my writing and come on back to no board. I can also annotate right on like my actual screen. So if I wanted to point something out in the background, I could. This candle smells like Syracuse, New York. It doesn't actually. I don't understand those candles, but I could certainly annotate on top of my screen that I have here. Okay. So again, we have that drawing tool, and now I can go ahead and I can clear it whenever I want. I can also just undo and redo. So those options are at the top. The other cool thing I can do in the Shorts camera is I can add stickers. So as I'm talking, I could add little, emojis to my screen. I could even add them on my whiteboard. So if I had my whiteboard up, I could add those emojis there and use those either maybe even to build a problem that my students are going to solve. So again, those stickers are there. Your students are going to learn to love the stickers as well because they have those options if you turn them on. But lots of different things you can do with stickers. You'll notice I can scroll down. It's going to take forever to load, but like you have pretty much everything here. So that's a really cool feature is that sticker function. All right, so I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert one more, the little thinky face. All right. I also can add text. So I'm going to actually come out of my whiteboard. And now I can add text over top. I get some choices with what I want that text to look like. Okay. So whatever it might be. Ooh, where'd it go? And now I'm just typing. Okay, so I can add that text. And then the last thing, second to last thing, the filters. Your students are going to find these too. You may want to set some expectations here if it's really important that you see their faces. The first few filters don't really matter. It just changes the lighting in the room, but this is the one that's going to bother you if it bothers you like it does for me. They'll use this one, and obviously it's a great way for them if they're shy and they're camera shy, they don't want their face on camera. This is a great way for them to cover it up, but depending on your expectations, you may want to tell them they cannot use that. So it's kind of up to you there, but you even have that option in your video as you're creating it. Okay. The final option along the bottom allows you to add a photo sticker. This is really cool. You have to have that photo saved somewhere on your computer so you can upload it. But all I would do, I'm going to open a new tab here. And let's say I were teaching, sorry, I'm going to go back to math. But let's say I'm teaching a lesson about tens frames. So I want to pull up a tens frame to use. So I'm just going to take this one right here, and I'm going to right click it and save image as. Okay, so I'll save it to my desktop. Tens frame, or actually to my desktop. There we go. Okay, and now when I go back to my Flipgrid camera, there it is. Okay, it downloaded it right here on the left-hand side of my screen here. So I can actually just click and drag that file right into the middle of my screen here, and it will pop it in. So now I have this tens frame that I can work with, and I can use my drawing tools as I'm talking through and say, if this is what my tens frame looks like, how do I know how many dots I have? So I could have that entire lesson based on that image sticker that I add. Okay, so that's your photo sticker. So lots of different ways you could use that, but that's one way right there. All right, so that's all fun and cool, but I think the coolest part about this, so I can pause this video at any time, okay? I can continue at any time. So you have some things there, but when I hit next, all right, so it's now recording. Okay, I can watch what I've already done, but at this point, if I want to add a new clip, maybe it's something I've already recorded on my computer, I have some different options here. So I'm going to click on add more. Okay, and now I'm going to go to those three dots in the bottom left. Okay, so the first option I have is that screen recorder. We're going to come back to that in just a second. That second option is to import a video that you've already recorded on your computer. And then your third option is to record with, you can turn off your audio so that it's just recording your picture. Okay, so I'm going to choose screen recording in this case. And this works just like the different Chrome extensions we talked about the other day. So it works just like Screencastify and Loom. So when I hit start screen recording, okay, it's going to ask me which screen. You probably only have one option, so this should look familiar at this point. And we'll click share. Okay, it's going to count down just like the others do. I always like to hide this. And now it's telling me I can minimize this window or move off of it. Okay, and I can go to another window and I could be manipulating this slide and my students are seeing what I'm doing because it's recording my entire screen. Okay, and then when I'm done recording my screen, I just have to go back to my Educator Shorts tab here. Okay, and now I can hit stop recording. All right, so it's now, so now it has all of that clip that I did in the beginning. And then you'll notice this little chunk at the end, just like the others do. Okay, here is my screen recording one. I always like to hide this. And now it's telling me I can minimize this window or move off of it. Here, let me move it along. My students are seeing what I'm doing because it's recording. So notice that it recorded exactly what I was doing on the other tabs that I moved to. Okay, and again, at this point, I can confirm I like this clip. All right, so it's now, and I could keep adding more clips as I need. But when I'm done recording my video, I'll hit the next button. Okay, now this happens in here. It also happens when we do our grids and topics for your students as well. They're asked to take a selfie and that becomes the thumbnail for the video. So this is where they'll have a lot of fun with their stickers. So chances are they're gonna come in here and they're gonna find the mustache, you know. No matter how old these kids are, they always seem to do the same things. Where did my mustache go? I'm not sure where it went. Apparently it doesn't want me to have a mustache. Okay, well, maybe no mustache. Let's do a hat. All right, we're gonna wear, oh, I'm gonna wear a tiara. Oh, there's the mustache. Okay, so they can have some fun with the stickers. And I don't want this anymore. I don't know how to get rid of it. Clear. There we go. All right, so I could have some fun with the stickers and then I'm gonna go ahead and take my picture when I'm ready to go. And then I'll hit next. Okay, and now it has officially saved that video. That's a great thumbnail right there. It's officially saved that video on my shorts section and I can go in now. Oh, let me choose another one that's been prepared. So I can go in now and I can share it in a bunch of different ways. So it gives me a link to share it. I can get a QR code so that somebody can use their camera app on their device and open it there. I can download the video. I could embed it into a site. You guys probably don't use Teams, so that one's not super important right now. You could share it directly to Google Classroom, or if you use Remind, you could share it there. So sharing this video becomes super simple because you have all of those different options. Okay, so that is another method of creating instructional videos that you could use in the future. And I've been ignoring your question, Cynthia, because I knew I was going to come back to it. Cynthia asked, what's the time limit? I looked that up. I cannot find anywhere that talks about a time limit. So I am not sure. If you happen to find the time limit, please let me know because I'm curious too. I looked for quite a while and couldn't find anything about it. So I'm not sure what the scoop is there. But in this video, I didn't meet it. And I don't know. I guess this video wasn't very long. And let's see, how long was this one? It's still preparing, so it's not going to tell me. I didn't record super long videos, but I did not come across a limit while I was doing it. So that's a good sign. All right, so Google Shorts are an awesome way to record quick instructional videos for your students. Before we move on to your grids and really what Flipgrid is all about, what questions do you have about Google Shorts? All right, I'll keep looking at that chat. So if you do have questions, please pop them in, but it looks like we're good to go. So I'm going to go back to where it started me off. It started me at my grids. So I'm going to go back there. And let's talk about what Flipgrid is really about. The idea behind the creation of it is that your students are going to have a way to record videos to respond to a prompt, okay? So the first thing you need to do is create a grid. Now, a grid is a place, it's like a folder that holds all of the different topics that you want kids to respond to. So I would create a grid probably for each class that I teach, okay? If you are a self-contained elementary teacher, you might consider doing a grid for each subject that you teach. But if you're departmentalized, probably just each class, that's probably sufficient, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new grid. I'm gonna do that by clicking on Add New Grid. The first thing it asks for is the name. So if you are self-contained elementary, you might just put the subject name. If you are departmentalized, you might put the homeroom teacher, okay, or the period if you're middle school, so something along those lines. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that I'm just doing one about math, okay. No, I'm going to do reading. I lied. Okay, so I have a reading grid, okay, and let's look at our different options now. All right, so the second section here asks me to determine how students or who can join, I guess. And so for this one, you want to probably keep yours pretty secure by using school email. Keep in mind that your students, fingers crossed, should have Flipgrid on their ClassLink portal. So if they click on that, it should prompt them to log in with their Google account. So this would be a safe option to choose. If you wanted to use your Flipgrid outside of your classroom, so if you were using this for a reason outside of the classroom, I'm trying to think of what that might be, but in trainings, we've done it before, where we've opened it up to everyone. That way you don't have to be signed in to the domain in order to access it. I would not choose the second option just because the first option works just fine. So I'm going to choose school email. Okay, and then the last section here asks you for your flip code. So chances are right now you're probably going to share the link to your topic, and I'll show you how later, directly to your Google Classroom. So your flip code is not super important. In the past, if you were sharing it verbally, it would have been helpful to have something really familiar. So it starts, in this case, with my last name, and then maybe you want something, maybe there's a number that your class is familiar with. Maybe it's your classroom number, something like that. So if you're in room, I think it was 205, maybe that would make sense. Okay, but something that's easy for your kids to remember. And unfortunately, if you have a common last name, it's going to be a little bit harder for you. There aren't that many Cheatums out in the world, so I'm pretty safe. Right? And then once you have your flip code, you'll click next. All right, so here's where it gets tricky. So now we have to add the different domain names that will be allowed into our Flipgrid, okay? If you tell your kids to log in using their Google account, then the only one you have to add is @students.fwisd.org. So I'm going to type it and click enter, or press enter. So I'll put that in the chat. Okay, and it's just asking for the end of that domain name. So whatever comes, and then whatever comes after. If you think your students might also log in with Microsoft, because that's also an option, you will need to do @stu.fwisd.org too. So if you're up for it, it might just be worth putting both in. Okay, that's also in the chat there. All right, and then once you have that all set up now, you can click on next. Are there questions before I click on next there? Okay, we're only getting asked this because we selected that option that students need to be logged in to access. All right, so I'm going to click next, and now we're ready to roll. Okay, so at this point in time, I could copy this and send it out right away, but I'm not quite ready yet. I only have a grid, but the next thing I need to do is create some topics. So within those topics, I'm able to give my kids a prompt to respond to. So let's go ahead and go to our grid by clicking on that button at the bottom. All right, and so this is what my grid currently looks like. So first things first, it will automatically create a topic for you. Unless you want to keep this, you can go ahead and delete it by clicking on the little box next to it, okay? And then going up to actions, and now I can delete the topic right there. This is just a pre-made topic for you. I don't even know what they say. Welcome to Flipgrid, tap the green plus button. Yeah, it doesn't even really say much. They would just want them to say hello and share a fun fact. So if you want to keep that as your low-key practice, go ahead, you can keep it. But again, if you want to get rid of it, you're going to select the little box, go up to actions, and click on delete. And yes, you want to permanently delete it. And goodbye. Okay, so this is like the big folder. And within the folder, we're going to have our assignments. And each assignment is a topic. So I'm going to create my first assignment or topic by going down to add new topic here. Okay, and when I click on that, it will bring up my topic creation. So the first thing it asks for is a title. So in this case, what did I do? Reading. So this might be, I don't know, week 4 reading response. So something that just tells them what it's about. The next option you have is to give them a maximum amount of recording time. So you can change this. And they have recently extended it. In fact, I think it used to only go up to 3 minutes, and they pushed it out to 10 minutes. So your kids, if you select 10 minutes, could potentially record 10-minute videos. That's pretty long. For the most part, I like to keep them relatively short. So I might just give them 2 minutes to do this. It's up to you, and it's based on your students, their ages, of course, and then whatever the topic's going to be. So keep that in mind. All right, and now we're going to add what is it we want them to respond to. So what question are we asking them? So in this case, I'm just going to say, something along those lines. Okay, or tell me a summary of the book you're reading so far. Or tell me 4 character traits that the main character has, or whatever it might be. I'll put my prompt in here, and that's what they're going to respond to in a video. Okay. All right. Underneath that, you have the option of adding some sort of focus. This is just an engagement piece. It's not necessarily anything instructional. So notice that you have some different options here. You could record a video, especially if you have younger kids. This would be a great place for you to record yourself reading the prompt so that your kids can then hear it as well as see it. You could add things like emojis and the different, I call them jiffies, but some people call them giffies. So some different things there. Maybe you add an image. I don't have one already for you though. So I'm going to find something in here. Let's see what comes up. Yes, okay, perfect. We're going to go with the cat that's reading. Okay. And I'm going to select that. So this just will pop up on their topic. It's just an engagement piece again. It's nothing really important, just something to engage them. All right, so that's our top section. Now at this point, I could create my topic, but I like to dig down into more options from here. So we can do some cool things down here. The first thing we can do is we can add a tip here. So this would be what I would consider a pro tip. So it might even be something as simple as make sure you find a quiet place in your house to record, or don't forget to tell me the name of the book you're reading. So something like that, just a little extra tip or trick to help them answer that question the best they can. Okay. Underneath that, you can add instructional materials to help you. So maybe, in this case, it wouldn't necessarily make sense, but if I ask them to summarize, maybe I add a little visual that shows the important aspects of a summary. Or if I ask them about character traits, maybe I give them a list to choose from. Okay, so I could add any sort of attachments that I might have. It could be, so it's a link to something outside of here. So it could be in my Google Drive. It could be a YouTube video, something along those lines. It could even be linked back to a Google Classroom assignment if I wanted to. Okay, so something along those lines. I don't think I have anything relevant here. So I'll just pull a random link. Okay, so I'm getting a shareable link to this Google Slides presentation. We're going to pretend like this has something to do with reading though. Okay, and I'm going to copy that. And then in my topic attachments, I'll just paste that link. I'll give it a title. I'm going to say this is all about reading. Okay. And then now we're going to scroll down and look at our next section. So does that make sense with topic attachments, the types of things you can attach there and how they might be important for students? I hope. If it doesn't, please let me know. Okay. Underneath that, this part is what I would consider the most important part when it comes to your extra features. You have the ability right in here to do what's called video moderation. So if you have students in your class that you think are going to abuse their power when it comes to creating videos, so maybe they're going to include something silly and unrelated or maybe even inappropriate, you're probably going to want to turn this on. And what that does is it will not release that video to the rest of the class until you have said it's okay, right? So you just want to keep that in mind, that if you predict that your students are going to have trouble doing this appropriately, you have the ability to turn on video moderation, which means that you get to see them first. Yes, Cynthia asked about the numbers in gray. That is the character limit. So I use 20 characters out of 30. Now I use 21. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to turn it off for now. Okay. You want your topic probably to be active if it's something you're going to use right away. Okay, so you can leave that as is. After the fact, we can change this. So if you want your students to stop answering so they can no longer add a response, but you still want them to be able to see the topic and see the responses, you have the option of choosing frozen here. And then that last option means that they can't see it at all. So they're not able to view their responses. They're not able to review anybody else's responses. The topic is gone altogether. So I'm going to leave it active though. Over here, I have the ability to allow students to reply to each other. So this makes it a little bit more interactive and collaborative, which at this point in time, I think our students really need that. They need to be able to respond to one another because they can't do it in our in-class setting. So if you trust your students, you can go ahead and leave that on. You may want to have that discussion somehow, maybe in a Google Meet ahead of time, about appropriate responses, just to make sure that they understand how to give feedback. And then the last thing you have, you can choose the launch date and the freeze date. So it's like the opening date and the closing date. So I'm going to launch it today, and I can make it freeze, which means that it's view only. So I can make it freeze on the due date if I wanted to. Okay. All right, and now at the very bottom here, our last section, we get some different features that we can turn on and off. Okay, so remember how I talked about how students will add those stickers and they'll spend forever perfecting their selfie at the end? You have the ability, if you wanted to turn off that feature where they can add those filters, stickers, drawing, etc. And you can make it so it only works for their selfies. They can only do it in their videos, or they can't do it at all. So if you're having issues with that, you have some control. Okay. So you can allow your kids to title their videos. It might be a good idea in this case to leave it on because maybe I'll specify in my directions that they should title the video the name of the book they're reading or something along those lines. But again, you can turn it off if you wanted to. View count allows you to see the number of videos or number of views each video has received, kind of like YouTube. So if you're worried about like a popularity contest, then you could turn it off so students couldn't see. But otherwise you could leave it on. Sticky notes. I didn't actually use them, but as a student's recording, if they want to keep notes for themselves, so maybe like a script that they're reading off of, they could add it to a sticky note. And then that sticky note is only visible to them. So when I view the video, I won't be able to see the sticky note, but they can see it right on their screen. And that just helps them stay organized. You can allow your kids to edit the video, meaning that they can trim it and then they can rearrange and move those video clips around. Again, you can leave it on or off depending on your topic. You can allow them to attach a link. So maybe if you did have them write a script ahead of time, you could ask them to link to that script. You would have to teach them how to find that link in their drive though. So they'd have to learn how to right click on a file and get shareable link in order for this to work. So kind of keep that in mind. It might be a little much right now. And then that last option goes back to that popularity contest. You could allow students to like other videos. Just be careful with that because it might cause some issues with some hurt feelings. So something to consider there. All right. Oh, and I lied. That was not the last section. The last section is all about feedback. So it allows you to provide just basic feedback on their student response. The other option here is custom feedback. And that means that you could add a rubric to it and then score them on that rubric. So I typically just do basic feedback, but if you want to take it to a whole new level, you certainly could do custom feedback as well. And I believe that used to be a paid feature, so that's kind of awesome that it's free to you now. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and finish it off. Let's create our topic. Okay, it gives you a topic link. So right now I could go ahead and I could copy this link and I could email it. I could get the QR code and share that out so that my students, if they have a mobile device, can just take a picture of it. I could put the link directly on Google Classroom or on Remind, or if I have like a Google site, I could embed this topic there. So I'm going to push it to Google Classroom because I think that's the most needed. Okay, and so because I logged in with my Google account, it automatically syncs my Google Classrooms here. And so I would just find the class I want to push it to, choose how I want it to be pushed. Is this an assignment? Is it a question? Is it an announcement? Or is it a material? So I'm going to create an assignment and I'll click go. And it's kind of small, but I can make this window bigger. Okay, it will take me back to this assignment creation window in Google Classroom. So this was reading response. Okay, I can leave them some instructions here and fill out my entire Google Classroom setup. So I think I said it's due on the 24th. Okay, and I don't have a topic for it, so I'll call it reading. And then as soon as I hit assign, this will be now pushed out as an assignment to my students. I'm going to show you in a second. Where is it? Right here. Okay, so this shows up to my students with the link directly to that Flipgrid topic. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to X out of this little pop-up here. All right, and then on your teacher side now, here is what I see on my responses. All of my student videos will pop up underneath here when they finish recording them. Okay, so I'll go back and I'll show you one that actually has responses in just a second. But you also, as the teacher, have the ability here to record your own response. So you could record exactly what the prompt is saying. You could tell the class about the favorite part of the book that you're reading. That way they have a model to view. The other cool thing about this is that you have some different abilities to share this. So you could share the entire topic with people outside of the class if you wanted to. So if you want family members to be able to come in and see it, you could turn topic guest mode on, and then all they need is this link to come in, and they can even record responses. But just keep in mind that if you give them this link to the whole grid or the whole topic, they'll see all of the students' responses. So something to kind of keep in mind. You also have the ability to share just a single student's responses. So let me go back and show you a grid that has things. All right, so my West Park friends are not going to be happy about this, but these are West Park teachers that did some responses on Flipgrid. So I can go in. Shelly's still in here. Hey, Shelly, here's yours. So I could go in and say, I want to share this response with Shelly's parents. And I can do so by finding the response listed here and go to share. And now this is the link that I need to send them. And then they can open this link and see her response. So that's a really cool way to kind of get parents connected with those videos in a way that they can kind of, like I said, stay connected with what's happening in the classroom and kind of keep up to date. So like I said, here's a topic that I did, right? And so it's all created in that creation menu, and then all of their videos pop up underneath. To watch a video, I'm going to pick not Shelly because I'm going to pick somebody who's not in here. I'm going to pick the principal at West Park. To watch a video.
One thing
Okay, all I did was click on it. Okay, and it will play her video here. And notice that I now have the ability to give some feedback. I can send her video feedback, meaning I can record a response. I can grade it on ideas and performance. So a scale of 0 through 5. And I can give written feedback here as well. All right. And then she'll be able to see her feedback when she goes and visits myflipgrid.com. And she'll see that, hey, she has feedback on this video. All right. If you really, really wanted to, you could copy this feedback link. And then in Google Classroom, remember how I assigned this? When I go in, we're going to pretend like this is Kendall Condit's name here. I could go in and I could leave that link as a private comment there. That's not actually the link. I didn't copy it, but I could leave that link to her feedback as a private comment so that there's no question about finding that feedback there. So that's super awesome. I can watch that video and do all of these things right in here. What questions do you have about that piece right there? Okay, nothing so far. All right. Students are also able to leave feedback for one another. None of them left feedback there. Let's see if any of my other grids have feedback. They just have views.
Hello.
Nope. Okay, it looks like we do. Okay, so in this one, I do have a video response. So this student left her response here, and then another student came in and left a video response for her. And I noticed that that happened because when I was looking at her video, I saw this little image pop up here, the little circle, and that tells me that I have a reply there. I think that's the only, oh, I have two. There's another one. Okay, so you're able to kind of see who's responding to who, which is kind of a cool feature. All right. Yes, I imagine right now it's probably a lot. If you've never been in Flipgrid before, it's a lot to look at, but it's super easy to use on the kid side. So hopefully that's helpful. It kind of walks them through exactly what they need to do, so that there's no question about that. I can show you, I can probably show you the kid side if you'd like to see that. I don't know what's in his grid, so bear with me for a second. But we're gonna try logging into his. Let's see. One day. Yep. All right, so this is a student account, and that student does have the Flipgrid icon here. Okay, and again, you just want to tell your kids, make sure they click on Google Login. Okay, they'll select their name, and soon they'll be in. Okay, yeah, and it is going to ask for some information. I don't know that I have to put it. Let's see what happens if I don't. No, I do. All right, they are going to have to put some information here. I don't know why it asks for their date of birth. I'm just going to put in something random. Okay. Oh, all right. Oh, it's because I'm trying to create an educator account. That's not going to work. Educator login. I don't want to do that. Okay, so he's not part of a Flipgrid yet. Okay, so I have to assign something to him before this will work on his end because he's not already in a class that has a Flipgrid. I'm going to go back to my reading one. And let's go ahead and have him share. I'm going to, oh, let's view it as a student. We'll just do it this way. All right, so I'm going to go back to that because I forgot that that's a really cool feature here. A lot of these sites, you only see it from the teacher side and you never know what it looks like from the student side. Flipgrid has done a great job with that. They actually have the ability for you to view what the student will see. So if you click on the flip code here, you'll see view a student. All right, and it'll show you exactly what the student will see. One day. There we go. Okay. And so when the student gets in, they'll see, here's the topic name, here's the prompt, here's that focus image I had, and now here's what, like, it's super simple. This is the only thing you can do is click on record response here. And then he'll get that same exact recording menu that we had in our Flipgrid Shorts. So he can go ahead and record his response here. Okay. And I'm just going to pretend like I'm talking through my favorite book that I'm reading right now. It's not appropriate to talk about in a classroom, though, so I'm not going to do that. So I would talk through it. I'd finish up. I'd hit next. Okay. And I'm just going to pretend like I'm talking all of those same features you did. They'll hit next again. This is where they'll spend all their time on their selfie, putting their stickers on, but they'll finish it up. Okay. And I left it on so that they could put a title if they want. And then again, I also left it on so they could put a link to another resource if they want to, but they are optional. So I'm going to submit without them. Okay. And so now when I close out and refresh, okay, apparently not. I don't know if it'll work because I'm just viewing it as a student. I'm not actually a student, so I don't know what's going to happen here. Yeah, it will. Okay. And now I'll see my response. And then the students will see each of their classmates' responses here too, and they can go in and watch them. Okay. And then I'm just going to notice that they're prompted here to leave a reply if they want. So that's what it looks like from the student end. In order for your students to access this, though, they have to have your link. So in this case, I need my topic link. So I would add my topic link to Google Classroom. So I can do that, okay, by clicking on my share button. And this is my topic link. Remember I set that earlier? And I'm going to click on copy. Oh, this is my grid link. Let me do my topic link. Share. I'm going to copy it, or I'm going to push it directly to Google Classroom from here. So either way, let's see. Maybe I'll push it to one that he's actually in so you can see that. I think he is enrolled in maybe this one. I'm just going to do it as an announcement so it's easier. All right, let's see if he's in that class, hopefully. So here's the student account again, coming back at you. Okay, so I put that on Google Classroom. I think I put it in this one. There it is. Okay, so now he has that flip code. He can access that flip code. It will now prompt him to log in with Google. This is where you need to say log in with Google. Okay, and now he's officially in as a student. Again, he sees exactly what we just saw. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like from his end. All right, it is 2:53. I have talked a lot about different things in Flipgrid, but I also know that there's a lot more to talk about. If you have questions about things or you're wondering, there are more things that I could show you. But with that said, I also don't want to overwhelm you. So what questions do you have, or what would you like to learn more about at this point? And I know that chances are it's hard to think of questions until you've actually used it, and that's okay. All right, I don't see any popping up right now, but I'll keep an eye on that. As Joanna said, you'll likely have questions as you start using it, and in which case, please email me or drop into my office hours, my virtual office hours, every Tuesday and Thursday from 3:30 to 4:30. If you come during those hours, you could share your screen with me and I can look at what you're talking about and kind of lead you through it as you need. Maybe Joanna, maybe. I'd like to hold off on doing Flipgrid Part 2 until people have a chance to really get in and get trying though. So maybe not this week, maybe next, like not the next week, but the week after perhaps. Cynthia asked, there's an app for our phone to record and do everything? There is a Flipgrid app on your phone. Yes, there is. I'm going to find it. I think I have it downloaded. Yep. So yes, there's a Flipgrid app on your phone that allows you to do all the recording there. So if for whatever reason your kids are not on a device that has a webcam, they could certainly do it on a phone or a tablet that does. Again, they'd have to download the Flipgrid app to do that though. And then yes, if they have a Chromebook, especially a Fort Worth ISD one, most Chromebooks nowadays have a webcam already in them, so they'll be able to do this directly from their Chromebook. Okay, so middle schoolers are awesome. They're good to go. High schoolers are good to go. And then a lot of elementary schoolers right now have a Chromebook because we've been handing them out or have access to one at least. So hopefully that will help. Yes, I do have the plan. It is in my plan right now to do another Flipgrid session next week. I was just looking down. Right now I have it on Wednesday morning, but that could change between now and when I send out my schedule. But yes, I do plan on doing another repeat session of this next week. So if you want to come back and watch it again, you are more than welcome to. All right. I'm going to let you continue to ask questions, but while you're doing that, I am going to send you that webinar attendance link again. If you received all sorts of emails from a random email address today that talked about webinars, my apologies. I just got it to work where I have sent out webinar certificates, essentially, for each of the webinars that you attended and filled out the attendance form for. So you should receive emails for all of those. So it'll be, if you attended like 6 webinars, you're going to get 6 emails. So my apologies there. But my thought is if you hold on to those emails, if you ever need to prove to someone that you did PD, this is a great way to prove it. Now, with that said, I want to remind you, I cannot offer you anything for coming to these. So I can't offer you incentive points. I can't offer you flex or anything like that. You are here because you want to learn. So I can't give you anything. But I know, right? No stipend. I'm not able to take it out of my paycheck and give it back to you. Yeah, so like I said, those attendance certificates that you are getting, it's just if you need it, if your principal's ever asking, you know, what did you do to prepare, now you have some proof. So hopefully that helps you with something. Also, it's just nice to know, what did I attend? You can go back and look at that. So I will continue to send those out for the future webinars as well. So you'll continue to get those emails. Just keep in mind that if you don't enter your email correctly in the form, you will never receive that certificate. Already I'm getting quite a few certificates bouncing back to my inbox because the email address is invalid. So just be careful as you're filling out your email address. If you notice you're missing a certificate, send an email to me. It probably means your email address was incorrect and I can fix that. I just need to know. Awesome. All right, so with that said, it is 2:58 on a Friday. Woohoo! I am going to leave it at that, unless you have further questions, of course. So you are welcome to go about the rest of your day, and then I will be sending an email shortly-ish with next week's schedule, so keep an eye out for that. And otherwise, it was awesome seeing you.